Happy Easter weekend, my little Italian homestead family. I love this time of year in Italy because there's so much going on. In a moment, I'm going to take you with me to the oldest Good Friday procession in all of Italy, a very somber occasion. And then tomorrow I have some traditional Easter baking to do. And on Easter Sunday itself, in stark contrast to that very somber Good Friday procession, I'm going to take you to an absolutely bonkers spectacle in Sulmona. So please do spend the next couple of days with me and let me know what you think of Easter in Italy. We arrived at the cathedral a couple of hours early to get a good spot, but there were already thousands of people there, as well as different groups of confraternities and musicians gathering in the main piazza. After a lovely mass in the cathedral, we headed where seemingly everybody else headed to get ourselves a slice of pizza to keep us going during the procession. I also spotted my favourite Neapolitan Easter dessert, la pastiera, in one of the local bakeries and had to try a piece, of course. Chieti's Good Friday procession is the oldest in Italy, dating back to at least the 9th century. The procession is led by the members of the many different confraternities, who wear long tunics and hoods, symbolising penance and mourning. They carry torches or lanterns, wooden crosses, and sacred relics.
Adoriamo Cristo e ti benediciamo, perché con la tua santa croce hai redento il mondo.
Then it was time for the body of Christ to be carried down the streets, closely followed by the Madonna in mourning.
Maria, Madre di Dio, prega per noi peccatori, adesso e nell'ora della nostra morte. Amen.
One of the most unforgettable aspects of the Chieti procession is the music, especially the Miserere, composed by Maestro Saverio Salecchi, which is performed by a full orchestra and a male choir. I knew the music would be fantastic, but I wasn't prepared for how moving it would be. I was in tears throughout the whole Miserere. Just before heading home, we stopped off at the supermarket to pick up some eggs for the big day. Now, this is one of the things that actually costs a lot more in Italy than it does in England, with each egg averaging around 15 to 18 euros. However, you do find some enormous ones like this, which I have never seen in the UK. I'm just heading to meet my friend Aura, who's coming to watch the Madonna that runs in Sulmona with me, but I wanted to give you a quick overview of what it is, just in case there isn't time once we get there. So from what I've seen and read online, the Madonna is inside the church mourning over the death of her son, and they try and convince her 3 times to come out. And eventually she does, carrying her handkerchief where she's been weeping. And then she realises that Jesus has been resurrected, and her veil drops to reveal this beautiful green dress, which symbolises rebirth. And simultaneously 12 doves fly out from underneath it, and she starts to run towards the body of Jesus, obviously on a gold plinth. So it sounds completely bonkers, and naturally I cannot wait to share it with you, so let's go. Sulmona is a beautiful town, best known as the birthplace of the Roman poet Ovid, and there's a statue and museum in town dedicated to him. One of Sulmona's biggest claims to fame is its production of confetti, not the paper kind, but sugar-coated almonds often used for weddings and special events. The town has been making them for centuries, and shops display them in colourful flower-like arrangements. Although I've caught the train from here a couple of times, I've never really spent any proper time here, and I have to say I was blown away by this place. It has such a nice vibe and lovely piazzas, churches, and a medieval aqueduct that runs right across the main square. The square was already absolutely packed by the time we arrived, and we really had to fight through the crowds to try and find a good spot for filming.
Gioia, la festa di Pasqua, possiate giungere con animo esultante alla festa senza fine.
After that, it was time for another procession, of course, and then we headed to the restaurant we'd booked for lunch. We leisurely made our way through 5 courses, sat outside with a beautiful view of the mountains, and then picked up some souvenir confetti on the way back, even a little Napoli one for me. Today is Pasquetta, or Easter Monday, and here it's tradition to pack up a picnic and either head to the mountains or the seaside to enjoy some good food with good friends. I'm from the Campania region of Italy, and so I'm going to whip up in a moment a Neapolitan Easter classic called il casatiello. It's a kind of salami-filled cheesy pie, and I also wanted to make use of my new Cath Kidston picnic wear, any excuse, so I'm going to pack up a basket and then head out with some friends. First up, I'm making the dough by mixing some 00 flour, some 0 flour, and 2/3 of the fresh yeast I've melted in some water here. Then I'm adding 20 grams of sugar and giving it a good mix around with a wooden spoon. Then it's time to add a little bit of salt, the rest of the yeast and water mixture, and leave it for 10 minutes to stand. Next, I'm mixing it in the stand mixer with the dough hook attachment and slowly adding some chopped butter. It should really be lard, but all the shops are shut, so I'm just making do with what I have. Don't worry if the dough mixture is very sticky, that's exactly how it should be. I've just popped it in a bowl and I'm going to cover it with cling film and leave it for a couple of hours or until it's doubled in size. Now that the dough's risen, it's time to roll it out and add our fillings. So we've got Neapolitan salami, provolone cheese, pecorino cheese, and some parmesan grated up here as well. And then I'm going to add lots of black pepper. Then carefully roll it up, pop it in the mould, and you're going to add your eggs still in their shells, so make sure you wash them thoroughly. And then I put aside a little bit of dough to make the crosses to give that Easter touch. Then you're going to leave it to rise for another 20 to 40 minutes and pop it in the oven at 180 degrees for 40 minutes and around 10 minutes at 200 degrees. Sadly, as the morning went on, I realised that Mr. Pickles wasn't feeling himself at all. He hadn't eaten or drunk anything and was very lethargic, so I decided not to go to the mountains with my friends and instead just have a picnic in the olive grove so that I could stay close by in case he needed me. I hope you've had a wonderful Easter weekend. Please do let me know in the comments what you think of Easter in Italy, and I will see you again very soon.